Okay, so Abdul Manap, you are not allowing me for the recording. हमाद बेटा,
जी सर।
आपने रिकॉर्डिंग पे भी नजर रखनी है कि रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है कि नहीं। ठीक है,
ठीक है सर।
साथ बेटा स्क्रीन नजर आ रही है?
यस सर, आ रही है।
Okay, so I hope everybody can see the screen. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. With the name of Allah. Today we are in lecture number 6 and we will be talking about the properties of hardened concrete. If you remember, in the last class we talked about the properties of fresh concrete. We defined the fresh concrete. Then we talked about the properties of fresh concrete, that is workability, segregation, bleeding, and falls and flash setting time. Today we will be talking about the hardened concrete, how we can define the hardened concrete. Then we will be talking about the properties of the hardened concrete, that is the strength development of the concrete, the dry shrinkage of the concrete, and creep of the concrete. So we will discuss this one by one, inshallah. Okay, how we can define the hardened concrete? A concrete that is in a solid state and has developed a certain strength is called hardened concrete. So I hope everybody remember this. When concrete become hard, become rigid, and convert to the solid state, then this concrete is known as hardened concrete, and it has also developed some strength. So we can define the hardened concrete as that concrete. We can define the hardened concrete as that concrete in which it is in solid state and it has developed certain strength. So this type of concrete is known as hardened concrete. Now, what are the properties of hardened concrete? So normally we are talking about the strength of the concrete. So in terms of strength, we have three types of strength. That is the compressive strength of the concrete, this is the tensile strength of the concrete, and the flexural strength of the concrete. Strength of the concrete is the most important parameter. Now let's talk about the strength of the concrete. What is strength of the concrete? Strength of the concrete can be defined as the ultimate load or the maximum load that causes failure of the concrete, or its resistance to rupture or failure or crushing, and its units are force units divided by the area. So everybody knows that the force unit is Newton and the area unit is in square millimeter, or the force unit is pounds and the area unit is in square inches in FPS system. So we can define the strength of the concrete again, like strength of the concrete can be defined as the maximum load that causes or that has failed the concrete, or the maximum resistance of the concrete to rupture is known as strength of the concrete. Now, strength of the concrete is commonly considered its most valuable property. As I told you, most of the civil engineers or material engineer, they are focusing on the strength of the concrete, as this is the most important property. Normally we are design our structures on the basis of concrete strength, and we will discuss the how we can find the compressive strength of the concrete. So after 28-day strength, we are taking in the design of the concrete, we are taking the 28-day strength of the concrete from the compressive strength test. Although in many practical cases, other characteristics or other properties of the concrete, such as durability and permeability. If you remember from the last class, we discussed durability is also the most important thing. So if you have high strength, you will have more durable concrete. If you have impermeable concrete, it will be durable. If you can have impermeable concrete, there will be minimum wires or zero wires in that concrete. So its strength will be very, very high. So these are also the most important thing, that is durability and permeability, other than the strength of the concrete. The strength of the concrete can be determined by the compressive strength test. The compressive strength of the concrete can be determined by using the compressive strength test. The tensile strength, which we will discuss in the next slides, can be determined by the tensile strength test of the concrete, and the flexural strength, which we will define in the next slides, can be determined by performing the flexural strength test on the concrete. Now let's talk about the compressive strength of the concrete. It may be defined as the maximum compressive load that can be taken by concrete per unit area. Compressive strength of the concrete can be defined as the load, the maximum load that can be taken, that can be resisted by the concrete per unit area. Okay, the compressive strength is also called the crushing strength of the concrete, and it is determined by loading axially cube shape. That is, I have shown you in the class the cylinders and the cubes. So normally we are making the 6-inch cubes or the cylindrical shape that is having 6 inches diameter and 12 inches height. Specimens made out of the concrete. So I will discuss this over here when we go to this slide. So this is the cylinder. The diameter of the cylinder is 6 inches and the height of the cylinder is 12 inches. This is cube. This is 6 inches. This is 6 inches, and this is also 6 inches. So how we can make these cylinders? You can make this very easily. Compressive strength of the concrete. The tests are carried out in 3 days, 7 days, and 28 days after the casting of the samples. Once you are working on a project, or you are making your own house or someone else's house, and you have casted the slab, you have casted the beam, you have casted the columns, you have casted the foundation of the structure, or you are working on a bridge structures, or you are working on hospital structures, then what we do, we are making cylinders from the concrete which we have used in the project on site. And after making these cylinders, we bring this to the laboratory if the laboratory is not available on site, and we test this after 3 days, 7 days, and 28 days. It has been observed that the compressive strength of the concrete is influenced by a number of factors. Okay, the strength of the concrete is influenced by a number of factors. Normally, the compressive strength of the concrete is determined by testing, and the tensile strength and modulus of elasticity are expressed in terms of compressive strength of the concrete. So, when you are working on a project and you have made the concrete cylinders and you find the compressive strength of these cylinders, then by using some empirical relationships, some formula or some statistical relationship, you can find the modulus of elasticity, and you can also find the tensile strength of the concrete by using those formula if you don't have the direct results of these tests. Now, how we can perform the compressive strength of the concrete in the laboratory? So as I told you, we are making these cylinders on site. We are filling the mold in 3 layers, and then we are compacting each and every layer with the tamping rods. And then after having this cylinder, we are testing this in the universal testing machine. Normally, we are providing caping so that to make the surface of the concrete smooth, so that the load can be applied uniformly on the whole surface. So, what is the formula? How to find the compressive strength of the concrete by using this formula? So, FC is the compressive strength of the concrete. This is equal to the failure load, which we are applying with the help of this universal testing machine. And this is the cross-sectional area of the cylinder or cross-sectional area of the cube. So FC is equal to 4P divided by pi d square. Okay. So Abdul Manaf, are you in the class? Abdul Manaf? Abdul Manaf?
जी sir.
Can you tell me about the
जी sir, I am in class.
Okay, but how we can find the cross-sectional area of the cylinder? Do you remember the formula for the cross-sectional area of the cylinder?
Yes sir. Pi d square sir.
Pi d square is the area of the cylinder. You are missing something, beta.
Yes sir.
Actually, area of the cylinder is pi divided by 4 d square. So this divided by 4 will come over here. Okay. So area of the cylinder is pi by 4 d square, and P is the load which has been applied with the help of the universal testing machine. Okay. So you can use this formula when you have the load. Everybody knows about the diameter of the cylinder, that is 6 inches. We know about the pi value, and you putting this value and this putting the value of P and the value of D in this formula, you can find the compressive strength of the cylinder. Okay, when we are trying to find the compressive strength of this cube, so FC is equal to P divided by A square. So this A is the one side of this cube. This is one side and this is the other side. So A multiplied by A is equal to A square. This is the cross-sectional area of this cube. So you can find the P with the help of this universal testing machine, and A you can calculate by your own self, because if you have made the 6-inch cube, so you can multiply it 6 by 6, so that is 36 square inches. So you can calculate the compressive strength of the cube as well. Normally the compressive strength of the cube is almost 16 to 17% higher than the cylinder strength, because of its aspect ratio. Now aspect ratio or cylinderness ratio is the height divided by the width. So this is 6 divided by 6. So this is equal to, this is given to, is equal to 1. Whereas this is 12 and this is 6. So this is giving you 2 aspect ratio. So because of this aspect ratio, the strength of the cylinder is less than that of the cube. So you have to remember this. Okay. ASTM standard, American Society for Testing and Materials standard C39 is used to determine the compressive strength of the concrete. Empty molds are filled. The molds, as I told you, empty molds are filled with fresh concrete which you have used on site using a standard procedure. You fill this mold in 3 layers, okay, and you compact each layer with the help of tamping rod. After 24 hours, when you come on the next day to the site, after 24 hours, the specimens are taken out of the molds. You open the molds and you are taking out the cylinders from the mold, and then you cover it. You are providing covering to it. You keep this in the water tank for 28 days if you are testing after 28 days. Or if you are testing it after 3 days, then you will have to cover for that time. If you are testing that after 7 days, then you will have to cover it for that time. At the end of the covering period, they are testing by universal testing machine. Okay, when you are testing this cylinder, you have to apply the load, continue to apply the load until the sample fails and displays a well-defined fracture pattern. Okay, I hope everybody has seen this universal testing machine in the material testing laboratory of civil engineering department. These are the pictures. Okay, so what is universal testing machine? A universal testing machine, we are calling this UTM normally, also known, this is the abbreviation of universal testing machine, is also known as a universal tester. This is also called universal tester. ORR, material testing machine. R, material test frame. It has this frame, and in this frame we are testing different type of materials including the concrete. This is used to test the compressive strength of the material, the tensile strength of the material, and the flexural strength of the materials. We can find all these tests by using this universal testing machine. The next is the failure pattern of the concrete cylinders. When you are testing these cylinders in the laboratory, we can have 3 types of failure pattern, that is A, B, and C. So here you can see A is the splitting of the cylinder. You can see splitting of the cylinder has taken place. And the next one, you can see shear has taken place. This is shear or cone has been made from the cylinders. And the third one is, this is the combination of both splitting and shear. You can see splitting has taken place as well as shear failure pattern has been taken place. So this is the testing of the concrete cylinders in the laboratory. Now, the strength of the concrete is basically referred to compressive strength, and it depends upon 3 factors. Normally, if you are talking about the strength of the concrete, or if someone is asking you about the strength of the concrete, so actually he is talking about the compressive strength of the concrete, not the tensile strength of the concrete or the flexural strength of the concrete. So when someone is asking you, then being a civil engineer or material engineer, so he is asking you about the compressive strength of the concrete. And being a civil engineer or material engineer, you should also have to have more interest in the compressive strength of the concrete. And the compressive strength of the concrete depends upon 3 factors. Number 1 is the paste strength, how the paste strength can affect the compressive strength of the concrete, how the interfacial bonding between the paste and the aggregates can affect the strength of the concrete, how the aggregate strength, the coarse aggregate or the coarse aggregate which you have used in this concrete can affect the strength of the concrete. So we will discuss this one by one. The paste strength, it is mainly due to the binding properties of the cement paste. The compressive strength of the concrete is mainly due to the binding properties of the cement paste. If the paste has higher binding strength, if the strength of the paste is more, the binding strength is more, the compressive strength of the concrete will be more, and higher will be the strength of the concrete. Okay, so the paste of the strength of the paste has direct relationship with the strength of the concrete. Now the next one is the interfacial bonding. The interfacial bonding is very necessary regarding the strength of the concrete. When there is clay present on the surface of the coarse aggregate, then what will happen? It will obstruct the bond between the paste and the aggregates. So we are trying to wash the aggregates before its using, so that to provide proper bonding between the paste and the aggregates. Okay, the next one is the aggregate strength. Okay, how it will affect the compressive strength of the concrete? It is mainly the aggregate. It is mainly the aggregate that provides strength to the concrete, especially the coarse aggregates. We have already discussed this in the previous lectures, which act just like bones in the body. When the bones in the body are stronger, just like the bones are stronger in the body, similarly the coarse aggregate should be strong enough so that it can resist the load which we are applying on the concrete. Rough and angular aggregates we discussed in the previous class. If we are using angular aggregates and rough aggregates or crush aggregates, it will give you more strength as compared to the rounded or smooth aggregates. This provides better bonding and high strength of the concrete. Now coming towards the factors affecting the compressive strength of the concrete. So before going to discuss these points, let me ask you one by one to help me in the discussion, and so that we can have a more participation from the students. Let's discuss this one by one. Dawood Khan beta, can you hear me? Dawood Khan? Dawood Khan, are you in the class beta? Dawood Khan. Okay, so Dawood Khan having some problem. Next one, Junaid Shah. Junaid Shah? Junaid Shah beta, can you hear me? Saad?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Junaid Shah can hear me. Okay, Junaid Shah beta, can you say something about the factors which affect the strength of the concrete? So how cavering will affect the strength of the concrete, or the cavering condition will affect the strength of the concrete? Do you know what is cavering? Junaid Shah beta. Okay, so Junaid Shah have also some problems. So let me discuss this by myself. The cavering conditions. As you remember, cavering is the process. Cavering is the process of giving water to the concrete once you have finished it, and once you have placed it properly, and then after some times we are providing water. हम जो try करते हैं concrete के ऊपर हम पानी फेंकते हैं, that process is known as cavering of the concrete. So when you are providing cavering to the concrete for 3 days, 7 days, or more than 7 days, its strength will be more. But when you are keeping this dry, its strength will be less. So cavering condition also is affecting the compressive strength of the concrete directly. Number 2 is the temperature. The temperature of the environment. As I told you, when you are working in summer and when you are working in winter, when you are working in summer, most of the water, the surface water or the bleeding water which is coming to the surface, it will be evaporated from the concrete surface, and the concrete surface will become dry. Okay, so if you are not providing the cavering, or you are not spraying water on the surface, you are not keeping it wet. So what will happen? The strength of the concrete will be reduced. Okay. The next one is the water cement ratio. So the water cement ratio is having inversely relationship with the strength of the concrete. As I told you in the previous class, if we have more water content, the workability will be more, but it will have adverse effect on the strength of the concrete. So we should try to keep the water content as optimum as possible. I have given some example. If you have water cement ratio of 0.5 or 0.65, which one will have more strength? Saad beta, which one will have more strength?
Sir, 0.5.
Okay, good. Why?
Sir, because it has more
Because it has less water
workability.
content. The concrete will be stiff. Okay, there will be less wires or minimum wires. So the ultimate strength of the concrete will be more as compared to the water cement ratio of 0.65. Well done, Saad beta. The next one is the aggregate characteristics. As I told you, if you are using rough aggregates or angular aggregates, and I have explained in the previous class, if you are using well-graded aggregates instead of poorly graded aggregates or gap-graded aggregates, if you are using well-graded aggregates are those aggregates in which we have aggregate size, larger aggregate, medium aggregate, and finer aggregate size. We have all the particle size in the sample of that aggregates. So it can also affect the strength of the concrete directly. If you are using the smooth aggregates, the strength of the concrete will be less. If you are using the rough aggregates or angular aggregates, the strength of the concrete will be high. Okay, if you are using well-graded aggregates, the strength of the concrete will be high as compared to the poorly graded aggregates. Now the next one is the cement type, its composition, its fineness. If you are using good quality cement, you are using fresh cement, you are not using old cement, you are using having good composition of the compound like tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, you have more fineness. Okay, you people have performed this test. So if you have more fineness, you have good quality cement, so the strength of the concrete will be more if you are using the high fineness, the cement which have high fineness as compared to low fineness cements. Okay, the cement content. So it is also covered in the water cement ratio, but I have written it again. If you are using more cement content, the strength will be more. When you are using less cement content, the strength will be less. Okay, the next one is the most important one. Strength porosity relationship. Strength porosity relationship. Okay, how the porosity of the concrete will affect the strength of the concrete. Anyone in the class, I will give him one sessional mark. Anyone in the class, beta? Anyone in the class can answer me this question?
Sir, which one?
Okay, beta, this one. Strength porosity relationship. How the strength of the concrete will be affected by the porosity or the pores in the concrete or the voids in the concrete.
सर पोर्स के जरिए पानी अंदर जा सकता है.
Okay, who wants to answer this?
मैं सर
दाऊद.
सर कंक्रीट फ्रेगाइल हो जाएगा और फ्रेगाइल की वजह से उसकी स्ट्रेंथ कम हो जाएगी.
Okay, so how we can avoid this?
सर वाइब्रेटिंग की वजह से जब हम कास्टिंग करेंगे तो जो छोटे पोर्स
using vibrators, so we can try to avoid the voids inside the concrete. Okay.
Yes,
के अलावा और क्या कर सकते हैं?
Sir, admixtures.
Abel Rahman is saying we can use admixtures. Okay, good.
Well-graded aggregate.
Okay, this is good answer, Mansoor Khan. So we can use well-graded aggregate. Okay, so Hamad, we can give 0.5 marks to Dawood Khan, 0.5 to Awais Rahman, and 0.5 to Mansoor Khan. So this becomes 1.5. Okay. Okay, let me explain it again. At strength porosity relationship, more the voids, less will be the strength, and minimum the voids or no voids, more will be the strength of the concrete. So we should try to have minimum voids in the concrete. We should try to use the optimum quantity of fine aggregates or the optimum quantity of cement so that it can fill the voids inside the concrete. Okay, the next topic is the tensile strength of the concrete. Plain concrete, as I told you, we have two types of concrete, plain cement concrete and reinforced cement concrete. Plain cement concrete is that concrete in which we have no steel reinforcement. There is no steel bars, and the concrete, that concrete is known as plain cement concrete. So in the plain concrete without steel reinforcement is quite weak in tensile strength. When there is no steel bars in the concrete, its tensile strength is very, very weak. It is as we have discussed that the concrete is good in compression, but very weak in tension, which may vary from 1/8 to 1/20th of the ultimate compressive strength of the concrete. Once we have got the compressive strength of the concrete, then the tensile strength of the concrete can come like 1/8 to 1/20th of that value of the compressive strength. It is primarily for this reason that steel bars, that is the reinforcements, are introduced into the concrete to get a block of reinforced cement concrete. To get a block of reinforced cement concrete, such concrete in which we have the steel bars, it is making a solid block, a strong block, a rigid block, and which is very, very strong in compression as well as in tension. Okay, in plain concrete, the tensile strength depends largely on the same factors as of the compressive strength. As we discussed these points over here, so the same factors can affect the tensile strength as well. If the compressive strength is higher, the tensile strength will be automatically higher and vice versa. Now, how we can find the tensile strength of the concrete in the laboratory? The tensile strength of the concrete is measured by splitting tensile strength test. How we can do this test in the laboratory? The cylindrical specimen placed with its axis horizontal. You can see we have placed the cylinder having its axis in horizontal direction, and then we are applying the load, uniformly distributed load from the top. Is subjected to a line load or uniform load along the length of the specimen. It is normally taken, as I told you, if you are not performing this test on the concrete, then you can take this strength of the concrete or the tensile strength of the concrete as the 10% of the compressive strength of the concrete. Okay, I hope everybody can calculate if you have 1000 psi strength or 3000 psi strength of the concrete, how much will be 10% of this concrete? Awais Rahman? Ji. Can you calculate? If we have the compressive strength of the concrete as 3000 psi. Okay? Can you calculate 10% of this? Ji Mansoor Khan.
Yes, sir.
Can you calculate beta Mansoor?
300 psi.
Oh, excellent beta. 300 psi will be the tensile strength of the concrete. Okay, so by using this formula F sub Ct, the tensile strength of the concrete, this is equal to P, and this is 2 pi LD. So this pi LD divided by this 2P divided by pi LD. This is the formula where P is the maximum applied load in the test, and L is the length of the specimen, and D is diameter of the specimen. You can see this L is the length of the specimen, D is the diameter of the specimen, and P is the load which we have applied with the help of the universal testing machine. Here you can see this. We have applied the load from the top, and you can see the splitting of the concrete cylinder. Okay, beta, I hope it is clear to each and everyone. The next one is the flexure strength of the concrete. Now let me define the flexure strength of the concrete first. The flexure strength of the concrete is defined as the maximum bending stress. The maximum bending stress that can be applied on the concrete before it yields. When this is a beam, this is made from plain cement concrete. It has no steel reinforcement. when you applied load from the top and it bends in this direction. It bends in this direction. Then this bending stress, which it can resist, is known as the flexure strength of this concrete. And how we calculate this flexure strength? This is equal to sigma is equal to 3FL. F is the load, L is the length of this beam, B is the width of this beam, and D is the depth of this beam. So if we have this force on the y-axis and we have deflection on the x-axis, so this will be the force deflection curve for this, and this will be the maximum load carrying capacity or force carrying capacity. So you will study this in your higher classes, how you can use the flexure strength or the bending stress, or how you can utilize this in this concrete design courses, okay, or structural design courses. Is it okay, Saad beta? Is it okay? Okay, beta. So
Yes, sir.
can we continue or can we have 5 or 10 minute break? ओके
We need
तो
a break, sir.
सारे लोग अपने माइक बंद कर दे बेटा, ताकि रिकॉर्डिंग में आवाज़ फिर ना आए, किसी की डिस्कशन उसमें शेयर ना हो. आई एम आल्सो गोइंग टू ऑफ द माइक and we will be meeting at 12:50. Is it okay? 12:50 is okay for each and everyone? Okay, so please
Yes, sir.
अपने माइक बंद कर दे बेटा. We will be meeting at 12:50 again. Okay, so let's start again. Saad beta, are you in the class? Okay. Hamad,
Yes, sir.
everything was okay? आवाज सही आ रही थी?
जी
Okay.
सर ठीक है।
So let's talk about the next topic. Is there any question so far from anyone in the class?
सर ये सिलेंडर की हाइट हम 6 इंचेस क्यों नहीं ले लेते?
सिलेंडर की क्या बेटा?
सर वो हम जो प्रेशर मालूम कर रहे थे फोर्स पर यूनिट एरिया, तो हम जो क्यूब्स बनाते हैं उसमें तो सारे साइड सेम होते हैं 6 इंचेस के। सिलेंडर के जो हाइट होता है वो हमारे पास 12 इंचेस का होता है। तो आपने कहा था कि इसकी वजह से एस्पेक्ट रेशो की वजह से हमारे पास रिजल्ट में थोड़ा डिफरेंस होता है।
जी जी।
तो वो हाइट भी अगर हम 6 इंचेस ले लें तो फिर तो रिजल्ट सेम आएगा।
Yeah, then there are maximum chances that the results will come closer to each other. Okay, but this is what the standard says. The standard says you have to keep this ratio as if you are dividing 12 by 6, so it should be equal to 2. If you are dividing 6 divided by 12, so it should be equal to 0.5. So this is the standard says. If you are making the diameter 6 inches, so the height should be 12 inches. If you are making the diameter 4 inches, बंदा बेटा अपना माइक बंद कर दे ताकि डिस्टर्बेंस कम से कम हो. If you are making the cylinders of 4 inches diameter, then the height should be 8 inches. So this is what the standard says. Okay, this is a good question, beta. Any other question? Okay, so if we have no question, then we can go to the next topic. Saad?
Yes, sir.
Is it okay? Can I go to the next topic?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next topic is very, very important. That is the strength development of the concrete. How the strength of the concrete is developed. Okay, so you can see this figure. We have this y-axis of the graph and then x-axis of the graph. On the x-axis, you can see the time in minutes, and on the y-axis, you can see the rate of heat evolution from the concrete. Then we have this table. On this row, we have some values. On this row, we have some text, and on this row, we have some text. Okay, so the first one, it is the phase in which the concrete is. So the first one, when the concrete is in fresh phase or state. Then the setting stage, and then the hardening or the rigid phase of the concrete. The next one, the physical state. It is in the fluid-like state. The next one is, it is in the semi-solid-like state, or it is in the solid state. Now what is the meaning of these things? Fresh state, fluid-like state, how we can use this practically. Okay, what are the implications of this? Okay, so when you have the concrete in fresh state, we have already discussed, or the fluid-like state, then we can mix it easily, properly. We can place it easily and properly, and we can compact it easily and properly. Okay, but in this stage, the next one is the setting stage or the semi-solid stage. In this stage, that is already the initial setting time has occurred. We are in the next stage. So what we can perform on this concrete, we can have the final finishing of the surfaces of the concrete. And when we come to this stage or this state or this phase of the concrete, the solid one or the hardened one or the rigid one, then it can withstand the applied load without flowing and till to the removal of the formwork or the shuttering, because we are applying the shuttering so that it can support the weight of the concrete until and unless it has not got sufficient strength. Once it will get sufficient strength, then we are removing the shuttering, and the concrete by its own strength can resist the load which we are implying on it. The next one is the tri and dicalcium silicates. As we discussed, the composition of the cement. Okay, so the tri and dicalcium silicates, that is C3S and C2S respectively, comprise over 80% by weight of most of the cement. Most of the cement, they consist of the tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate up to 80% or more than 80%. It is known that tricalcium silicate is the most important phase in cement for strength development during the first month. During the first month, which silicate is more important for the strength development? The tricalcium silicate. While the dicalcium silicate, it reacts more slowly. This dicalcium silicate, it reacts more slowly. Also, we have discussed in the type of cements or in the cement topic, and contributes to the long-term strength of the concrete. What is contributing to the long-term strength of the concrete? Dicalcium silicate is contributing to the long-term strength of the concrete. And what is contributing to the early strength of the concrete? The tricalcium silicate, it is contributing to the early strength of the concrete. Both the silicate phases react with water as shown below. This is the equations, the chemical reaction to form calcium hydroxide. This is calcium hydroxide and a rigid calcium silicate hydrate. This is calcium silicate hydrate gel or CSH. Now, we will be talking about the induction period. What is the induction period of the C3S and C2S? So an induction period is an initial slow stage of a chemical reaction. The induction period is an initial stage or slow stage of a chemical reaction, or the initial slow stage of a chemical reaction is known as induction period. After the induction period, what will happen to the acceleration, or sorry, to the reaction? The reaction will accelerate. Now, in this figure, you can see the calcium silicate hydrate, CSH, and the calcium hydroxide. So, the calcium silicate hydrate is produced by reaction of C3S or C2S with water. How we can get the calcium silicate hydrate? It is produced, we can get it from the reaction of the C3S or C2S with water. It is frequently described as a gel. It is in the form of a gel rather than a crystalline material. It have no crystalline shape because no consistent structure is visible using XRD test. As we discussed in the first semester, I hope you people have studied this, and when we are performing this X-ray diffraction test on the material, then we are getting either the crystalline shape or the amorphous shape. So in this case, we are getting this gel shape of the concrete. Now let's talk about the shrinkage. Saad beta. Saad?
जी sir.
Everything is okay?
Yes sir.
Okay. The next topic is shrinkage. So let's talk about the shrinkage. I hope everyone knows the shrinkage. Shrinkage is actually the reduction in the volume of the concrete. Shrinkage is the reduction in the volume of concrete. So shrinkage is the decrease in the volume of concrete during hardening and drying process under constant temperature. Shrinkage is the reduction in volume, is the decrease in volume of the concrete when during the hardening and drying process of the concrete under constant temperature. The amount of shrinkage increases with time, as it is clear from this figure. On the y-axis, we have the shrinkage strain, the strain due to shrinkage, and on the x-axis, we have time. Okay, so this shrinkage is increasing with the passage of time. Where T naught is the time at which concrete is subjected to drying environment. You have subjected this to the drying environment. You are not providing it is no more in the wet condition. Okay, so when it starts drying, the shrinkage of the concrete is taking place. And what is shrinkage? Shrinkage is the reduction or the decrease in the volume of the concrete during the hardening process and drying process under constant temperature. Okay, shrinkage of the concrete. Shrinkage of the concrete is caused by, now what are the causes of the shrinkage? So, shrinkage of the concrete can be caused by the settlement of the solids and the loss of free water from the plastic concrete. is we discussed in the previous class that due to the high specific gravity or more weight of the coarse aggregate settles down to the bottom of the concrete. So when this settlement takes place and the free water is evaporated either in due to high temperature from the surface or is utilized in the hydration reaction, then the reduction in the volume will take place, and this shrinkage or this reduction is known as plastic shrinkage. Okay, because the concrete in this stage is in the plastic stage, in wet state, or in fresh state. The next causes shrinkage of the concrete can be caused by the chemical reaction of the cement with water. This shrinkage of the concrete can be also caused by the chemical reaction of cement with water, and this type of the shrinkage is known as autogeneous shrinkage. We will discuss this in detail in the next slides. And the third one is the shrinkage of the concrete caused by the drying of the concrete. When the concrete becomes dry, then the dry shrinkage, the shrinkage which will take place is known as the dry shrinkage. Okay, so let me discuss about the autogeneous shrinkage. So autogeneous shrinkage is the uniform reduction. Autogeneous shrinkage is the uniform reduction or decrease of internal moisture due to the cement hydration. When the hydration reaction is taking place, then what will happen? Reduction of the internal moisture content in the concrete will take place, which is common in high strength concrete. This phenomena normally occurs in high strength concrete. Autogeneous shrinkage contributes significantly to concrete cracking. What will happen? Autogeneous shrinkage will cause cracking of the concrete when the water cement ratio is lower than 0.4. If you are keeping the water cement ratio less than 0.4, then what will happen? Autogeneous shrinkage in the concrete will be taking place, and this can cause cracking of the concrete. The use of concrete with a somewhat higher water cement ratio can mitigate this problem. What you can do being a civil engineer or being a material engineer, or okay, what you can do? You can increase the water cement ratio. By increasing the water cement ratio, you can mitigate, or you can reduce, or you can decrease this autogeneous shrinkage. However, what will be the consequences? Well, what will be the disadvantages then? The strength and impermeability of the concrete will be decreased if the water cement ratio is increased. What will happen if you are using more water cement ratio? Then what you are doing, you are decreasing, you are compromising on the strength of the concrete, and you are compromising on the impermeability of the concrete. You are increasing the permeability of the concrete. You are increasing the voids in the concrete. Okay, so these are the drawbacks if you are increasing the water cement ratio. So what should we do? We should try to have the optimum water cement ratio, and we can use also the water reducing admixtures. The main factors that influence the autogeneous shrinkage of the concrete are the water cement ratio and concrete maturity. As I have explained over here, the water cement ratio is playing very important role in the autogeneous shrinkage. Okay, let's have 1 minute break. Okay, Saad beta, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, अजान की आवाज आ रही थी तो उसके लिए मैंने थोड़ा सा वो ब्रेक ले लिया, ठीक है? Okay, so the main factors that influence the autogeneous shrinkage of the concrete are water cement ratio and concrete maturity. So I have explained this, the effect of the water cement ratio. So once the concrete has been matured enough, then this autogeneous shrinkage will also be reduced. There is no effective way to mitigate the autogeneous shrinkage for high performance concrete. They are saying there is no effective way, but the researchers has found some ways. I will discuss this. Even in UET Peshawar, we have done some research work and we have found a very good solution for this one. So I will explain this in the next slide. However, the use of pozzolanic materials or internal water absorbers can mitigate the effect of autogeneous shrinkage. If you use some pozzolanic materials or internal water absorber, so that it can absorb the water, and when it is required for the hydration reaction, it can give to the concrete, so we can use these materials inside the concrete. Now, how to mitigate autogeneous shrinkage? As the hydration reaction goes on, more water is drained from here, from increasingly finer capillaries of the inside the concrete, so the tensile stresses inside the concrete is developed. However, if during hydration an external source of water that is external to the paste, it is not that water which is inside the paste of the concrete, it is external to the paste, fills the porosity, fills the voids, okay, fills the pores created by the chemical contraction. Okay, as I told you, this autogeneous shrinkage is taking place due to the reaction of cement with water. The capillaries of the hydrated cement paste remain saturated. When you are providing some external source of water, then these capillaries of the hydrated cement paste will remain saturated, will remain wet, and no tensile stresses will be developed in the hydrating paste. So you can reduce the autogeneous shrinkage, or you can mitigate the autogeneous shrinkage. The next one, from a practical point of view, an external source of water that is again external to the concrete, or an internal one, you can either do the covering or keep the concrete moist for enough time so that it can get mature, or what you can do, or you can provide an internal source, internal to the concrete but external to the paste. As I told you over here, you have used some brick beds or some other materials that they have absorbed the water, and the water can be available for the hydration reaction whenever is required. It has to be supplied to concrete to mitigate the autogeneous shrinkage. Okay. Now, use of internal water absorbers. What we have done in the UT Peshawar, and some other researchers are also working on this very important topic, that use of the internal water absorbers in the concrete, like bentonite, that is multani matti. I have also shared the research paper with you people. The brick beds, if you use the brick beds, the smaller particles of the brick, so that it can absorb water, and whenever the water is required for the reaction, it can supply the water for this reaction, so it can reduce the autogeneous shrinkage. Saad, I will try to share the paper with you people again. Okay, you have to remind me. The next topic is the dry shrinkage. Saad, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Hamad बेटा,
जी सर,
एवरीथिंग इज ओके? आवाज बिल्कुल क्लियर आ रही है?
जी सर, क्लियर है आवाज.
Okay, beta. So I hope everybody is satisfied, inshallah. Okay, the next topic is the drying shrinkage. We have discussed the autogeneous shrinkage. Now let's discuss this drying shrinkage in detail. When a hardened concrete, as we are talking today about the properties of the hardened concrete, so when a hardened concrete covered in water is allowed to dry, at first loses water from its voids and capillary pores, and then water is drawn out of its cement gel, which results in contraction of the concrete And this contraction of the concrete is known as dry shrinkage. As I explained, what will happen during the hydration reaction of the concrete? Whenever hardened concrete is covered in water and is allowed, then you are allowing it to dry. What will happen? First, it loses the water from where? From its voids, from its pores, and then from the capillary pores inside the concrete. Okay? Those pores or those capillary pores in which this bleeding water has gone to the top surface of the concrete. And then water is drawn. After these two places, where the water is drawn? Out of its cement gel. That is the calcium silicate hydrated gel. Okay? Or which results, what will happen to the concrete? It causes the contraction. It causes the reduction in the volume of concrete. And this reduction or this contraction of the concrete is known as drying shrinkage of the concrete. Okay, so when shrinkage of concrete is restrained by the foundation or another part of the structure, internal tensile stresses are developed. Okay, so when you have restrained the concrete section or the concrete structure with the help of the foundation or two beams or two columns or two elements, then what will happen? Or another part of the structure. And what will happen? When this contraction will take place, tensile stresses will be developed inside the concrete. So as we have discussed, concrete is weak in tension. And when these tensile stresses are exceeded or increasing the tensile strength of the concrete, then what will happen? The cracks will be developed inside the concrete. So the next is the factors affecting dry shrinkage. So the type, content, and proportion of the constituent materials of the concrete. That is the type of the cement, the content of the cement, okay, the content and proportion of the water in the cement or in the concrete, okay, the endorse of the aggregates have profound effect on concrete drying shrinkage. Okay, so I will discuss this over here, how these things affect the dry shrinkage. So let me talk about the theory first, then I will explain this with this figure. The total water content of a concrete mixture has a significant effect on its drying shrinkage. The total water content of the concrete mixtures has very high effect on its drying shrinkage. Therefore, to minimize the dry shrinkage, how we can minimize the dry shrinkage of the concrete? We have to, the total water content must be kept as low as practically possible. We will have to try to keep the water content as low as possible. The next one, for practical purposes, the type, composition, and fineness of the cements have also been found to have relatively little effect on the dry shrinkage. This has also been found in the research. The next one is the effect of coarse aggregate on dry shrinkage is very, very high or is high. The effect of the coarse aggregate on dry shrinkage is high. The use of a maximum coarse aggregate content will minimize the total water and paste contents of the concrete mixtures, and therefore the dry shrinkage will be less. So as I told you, if we are using the maximum coarse aggregate content, is the surface area of this aggregate is more, it will need less water to lubricate the surface area, and also it will need less paste to cover the surface area of these particles. So we can use the maximum quantity of coarse aggregate so that we can reduce the dry shrinkage of the concrete. Admixtures form an internal part, as Awais Rahman told us. Admixtures also is playing very important role in reducing these shrinkage. Admixtures form an integral part of concrete mixtures produced nowadays. So nowadays, when we are making concrete, we are adding admixtures in most of the projects. Their addition to the concrete typically increases the volume of fine pores inside the concrete in the cement hydration product. As a result, what will happen when we are adding the admixtures to the concrete? As a result, dry shrinkage is increased when admixtures such as calcium chloride, slag cement, and some pozzolan are used. As you people know that calcium chloride is working as accelerating admixtures. So when you are accelerating the hydration reaction, more water will be required, and there are maximum chances that due to the early rigidity or early strength gaining of the concrete, there are more chances of dry shrinkage. With regard to water reducing admixtures, if you are using the water reducing admixtures, American Concrete Institute document or report 212 says that long-term shrinkage may be less depending on the degree. It will be less depending on the degree of what? On the degree to which the water content of the concrete is reduced. It will have less effect on this. Okay, reduction in the dry shrinkage have been obtained. How it has been obtained? It has been obtained in instances where significant reductions in total water content were realized through the use of high-range water-reducing admixtures. When we are using the high water-reducing admixtures, then we can reduce the dry shrinkage up to the maximum limit. Okay, what are the factors affecting which affect the dry shrinkage? So the steel reinforcement which we have provided or which we are providing inside the concrete, this will reduce the dry shrinkage of the concrete because of the restraint provided by the steel. When this shrinkage will take place, it will provide tensile stresses on the concrete. So if we have provided these steel bars, it will take those loads or those tensile stresses, and it will not allow the concrete to shrink. In the same environment, if you have made two structures in the same environment, one is small concrete member and the other is larger concrete member. Because of its higher surface area to volume ratio, this small concrete member, this will shrink more than a larger member because of its higher surface area to the volume ratio. The greater the exposed surface area, the greater will be the rate of moisture losses. The greater is the exposed surface area to the environment or to the atmosphere, what will happen? Greater will be the rate of moisture loss, and hence the potential for dry shrinkage will be more. Therefore, it should be recognized that the dry shrinkage that will be experienced in actual concrete structures will only be a fraction of that obtained in the laboratory. As we are making small specimens in the laboratory and we are calculating its dry shrinkage, so when we go to the actual structure, then it will be a fraction because it will be not too much. Okay, so the next one is the factors affecting drying shrinkage. The magnitude of drying shrinkage is also time dependent. It is also time dependent. Though the bulk of dry shrinkage occurs within the first few months of drying, the process continues for years. Most of the drying shrinkage is taking place in the early few months, but this process is continuous for a long time. Now coming towards this figure, let me explain this drying shrinkage from this figure. On the y-axis, we have the shrinkage of the concrete. On the x-axis, we have the water cement ratio. And here you can see these figures, 50, 60, 70, 80. This is the average, this is the aggregate content by volume in percentage. We have 50% aggregate content in this concrete. We have 60% aggregate content in this concrete. We have 70% aggregate content in this concrete, and we have 80% aggregate content in this concrete. So, Junaid Shah beta. Awais? Saad?
जी सर.
Saad beta? Okay, I have already asked you, so let's ask from someone else. Muhammad Umair?
Yes, sir.
Muhammad Umair, beta, can you hear me? Muhammad Umair. Okay, Sadullah Sahrai. Sadullah Sahrai. Salman Khan. Okay, coming back towards Salman Khan, you can hear me. Okay, beta, Salman Khan, help me in this. Okay, we have the water cement ratio as 0.5. Okay, Salman?
Yes,
Salman?
sir.
We have this 0.5 water cement ratio. Now I am going on the y-axis. Okay, this cursor is going on the y-axis. Then we have this 80% aggregate content in the concrete. We have some shrinkage in the concrete. We have then this one with 70% aggregate content, and we have with 60% aggregate content. And which one the shrinkage is more?
Sir, 80.
Oh, 80. The shrinkage is more in 80. Are you sure, beta? Check it again.
Sir, let me think.
Okay. You can take time.
सर
Can you
जितना वाटर सीमेंट रेशियो कम होगा उतना श्रिंकेज ज्यादा होगा.
Okay, beta. When we are going on this y-axis, the shrinkage is increasing. Okay. We have kept this constant 0.5. So when we are here, this shrinkage is lesser than this shrinkage, and this one is lesser than this shrinkage. So when we have more aggregate content, the shrinkage will be less for the same water cement ratio. Okay, when we have lesser aggregate content, the shrinkage will be increasing, and so on. Okay, this should be the answer. Okay, the next one, the effects of the shrinkage. The major concern with regard to the shrinkage of the concrete is the potential for cracking. After some time, when the concrete becomes dry, you may have seen such type of cracks in the concrete, and these cracks are due to the shrinkage of the concrete. Now going towards the last topic of today's lecture, that is concrete creep. Saad, can I continue?
Yes, sir.
Is there any problem with anyone or any question?
Sir, हम तक गए सर.
Okay, you are tired. Okay, beta. So we are left with 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, only 4 slides. Let me talk about the concrete creep. Concrete creep is defined as, this is more important topic, beta. In today's lecture, this is very, very important lecture. So get relaxed, take a glass of water or a cup of tea, and then let me continue this concrete creep. So concrete creep is defined as, already I have explained this in some classes, that concrete creep is the deformation of the concrete due to long-term sustained load. When we are applying load on the concrete for a long time and the concrete is deformed, then this deformation in the concrete is known as creep. So let me define it over here again. Concrete creep is defined as deformation of the structure. Which structure? Concrete structure under sustained load. You have kept the load for a long time. Basically, long-term pressure or long-term stress on the concrete can change its shape. This deformation usually occurs in the direction of the force that has been applied on the concrete element. Like a concrete column, normally we apply load from the top on the column, is getting more compressed in that direction in which we have applied the load. Creep does not necessarily cause concrete to fail or break apart. Okay, this creep does not make the concrete to fail or break apart when a load is applied to concrete. It experiences a rapid elastic strain which develops into creep strain if the load is sustained for a long time. I will explain this from this figure, and I hope you will learn this, you will enjoy this. So on the y-axis we have strain in the concrete, and on the axis we have time. Okay, we have time of the, or the age of the concrete. So after time t naught, that we have made the concrete, and after time t naught, you people have applied this load. What will happen to the concrete? It will cause deformation in the concrete. It will cause strain in the concrete. This strain is known as elastic strain. And after this t naught, when we go to the next time and this load has not been removed, you have applied this load to this time, what will happen to the concrete? The concrete will be deformed further. And this deformation or this strain is known as creep strain. After time t, if we remove this load, what will happen to the concrete? It will try to come back to its original position. Okay, so this will come to this position. Initially, this is known as elastic recovery. This recovery in the strain or in the deformation is known as elastic recovery. And then with the passage of time, this concrete will try to come to its original position. So this recovery is known as creep recovery. But as we have applied the load and it has caused some permanent deformation or residual stresses in the concrete, it has caused permanent deformation in the concrete. So it will be there. It will be there in the concrete because the concrete will not come to its original position. So this is all about creep. Creep occur. How creep occur or how creep is taking place in the concrete? Creep occur because the absorbed water layers tend to become thinner between gel particles, transmitting compressive stresses. As I told you, with the passage of time, the concrete will try to utilize the water in the wires, then in the capillary pores, and finally they will be extracting or will be attracting water from the gel. So what will happen to this gel? It will becoming thinner and thinner. This change in thickness occurs rapidly at first, slowing down with time. This change in the thickness of this gel occurs rapidly at initial stages, and then it's slowing down with the passage of time. With time, bonds form between the gel particles in their new position. Okay, when you have applied the load and this gel is becoming thinner, so the rearrangement of the particles in this gel, they are taking new position. If the load is eventually removed, you have removed the load, a portion of the strain is recovered, as I explained in the previous slide, elastically, and other portion by creep. But a residual strain remains. The residual strain remains, that is the permanent strain or the permanent deformation remains in the concrete. As I explained over here, this one, the permanent deformation, due to the bonding of the gel particles in the deformation position or in the new position. Okay, concrete creep. The amount of creep that the concrete undergoes is dependent upon, number one, the magnitude of the sustained loading. If you have applied more load, more will be the creep. If you have applied less load, less will be the creep. Cement paste content. Okay, if you have more cement paste content, okay, if you have more cement paste content, so the strength will be more will be the proper will be the bond between the concrete, and less will be the creep, and vice versa. The age and strength of the concrete when the stress is applied. If the concrete has got matured, has got enough strength, and then you have applied the load, so the creep will be less. But if you have applied at early age, the load you have applied at early age of the concrete, then the creep will be more. Aggregate volumetric content, as I have explained, if you have more volumetric content of the coarse aggregate especially, there will be less creep, and vice versa. Thank you very much, everybody, for your patience. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture. If there is any query, if there is any question, you can ask me right now. If you are tired, I can stop over here, and you can send me email. You can send me message on WhatsApp. I have shared my number. Okay, if you have any problem, you can send me audio message. Okay, so I will answer you through the WhatsApp or through email. Saad, beta, is it okay?
Yes, sir. It is okay.
Everybody is okay? Is there any question? Abdul Munaf, Awais Rahman, Junaid Shah, Mansoor Khan. Okay, Saad beta, this is enough for today. So let me stop the recording. If there is any query, any question, you can ask me in the next class, or you can send me email, or you can send me message. Is it okay, Saad beta?
Yes, sir.
Hamad?
जी सर.
Hamad? Everything
sir.
is okay? Attendance has
Yes,
been
sir.
already taken, yeah?
Yes sir.
Okay, so let me stop the recording.